The most beautiful women in ancient Rome smelled like roses, but their dazzling white skin was actually covered in a thick, expensive layer of crocodile dung imported all the way from Egypt. You might think animal waste is worthless, but in the Roman Empire, a jar of fresh crocodile poop was priced like diamonds, sold exclusively to the richest wives of powerful senators. Before a romantic night, a Roman lady would rub this green sludge onto her cheeks, believing the reptile's waste gave her a youthful glow that no other cosmetic could ever match. This wasn't just any waste. It had to be hunted in the dangerous Nile River, scraped from the intestines of dead crocodiles, and shipped across the sea to Rome's beauty markets. To hide the terrible stench of the dung, perfume makers mixed it with heavy oils and spices, creating a confusing scent of expensive flowers masking the raw smell of animal waste. Roman doctors actually prescribed this filth, claiming that the heat inside the crocodile gave the dung magical properties to burn off freckles and turn pale skin into a rosy, healthy complexion. It wasn't just vanity for women. Elderly men obsessed with balding would rub the dung mixture on their heads, hoping the potent fertilizer would make their hair grow back thick again. A massive black market emerged where merchants would fake the product, selling cow manure dyed green to unsuspecting customers who paid a fortune thinking they were buying authentic crocodile luxury cream. Wearing crocodile dung was the ultimate status symbol in Rome. It proved you were so wealthy that you could afford to smear the rarest, most dangerous animal waste on your own face. But how did this disgusting trend start? And why did the most civilized empire on Earth believe reptiles held the secret to eternal youth? The full story is terrifyingly gross. Imagine entering a high-end Roman bathhouse. The steam is rising, and the elite are pampering themselves. You expect the scent of lavender and olive oil, but in the private VIP rooms, the air is thick with a muskier, earthier smell. This was the sanctuary of the crocodilia, a beauty treatment so exclusive that only the emperor's inner circle could afford to touch it. It was the height of fashion. To understand the dung, you must understand Roman beauty. A woman's social value was often tied to her complexion. Pale, blemish-free skin meant you didn't have to work in the sun like a peasant. But nature is cruel and blemishes happen. To fight acne, scars, and freckles, Roman women turned to the harshest substances available, believing that if it burned their skin, it was working to make them beautiful. The crocodile was seen as a beast of immense power and vitality. Romans believed that the animal's strength was concentrated in its intestines. The dung wasn't just waste. It was the processed essence of the Nile. They thought the reptile's digestion created a potent chemical heat capable of burning away the imperfections of human skin, acting like an ancient, organic version of a modern chemical face peel. Collecting this beauty product was a death-defying job. Hunters in Egypt had to trap live crocodiles or kill them in the marshlands of the Nile. They weren't just looking for skin or meat. They had to carefully extract the contents of the intestines while they were still fresh. This dangerous harvest drove the price up sky-high, making it more valuable per ounce than gold or exotic silk. Raw dung could not be applied directly. That was too barbaric even for Romans. The collected waste was dried into a powder or mixed with vinegar and mud to create a paste. Perfumers, called unguentarii, would then blend it with heavy oils like myrrh or frankincense. The goal was to mask the smell just enough so a lady could wear it without making her husband vomit at dinner. Connoisseurs of poop distinguished between types. The most prized version was white dung, believed to come from crocodiles that fed exclusively on land animals. This variety was thought to be more acidic and effective at whitening the skin. Merchants would argue over the color and texture of the feces in the market, treating it with the same seriousness that a modern sommelier treats a fine vintage bottle of wine. A wealthy matron would sit before her polished bronze mirror while slaves prepared the mixture. The paste was applied thickly over the face, focusing on the cheeks and forehead. It would sit there, hardening and stinging, for hours. The sensation of burning was interpreted as the medicine taking effect. They endured the physical pain and the wafting smell of the swamp, convinced it was making them look younger. While we call it a face mask, some texts suggest it was used as a base for perfumes. The heavy, earthy scent of the dung acted as a fixative, holding onto floral scents longer than oil alone. So, When a Roman woman walked by, you smelled a complex layer of roses, sweat, and a distinct, sharp undertone of reptile waste. It was the scent of power in Rome. This wasn't just folk magic, it was science. Famous figures like Galen, the doctor to emperors, and Pliny the Elder wrote about it. They cataloged its uses seriously. They claimed it cured everything from skin ulcers to eye infections. When the smartest men in the world tell you that rubbing poop in your eyes will cure your vision, you listen to them no matter how gross it seems. The Romans loved mud baths, so the leap to dung wasn't huge. They associated the fertile mud of the Nile with life-giving properties. Since crocodiles lived in that mud, their waste was seen as a concentrated form of that fertility. It was a spiritual connection to the gods of Egypt, bottled up and sold to the superstitious elite who wanted to buy a piece of divine immortality. Because the real stuff was so expensive, fraud was rampant. Local scammers in Rome would take starling poop or cow manure, mix it with green chalk and strong vinegar, and sell it as genuine Nile crocodile. Thousands of Roman women walked around with cow patties on their faces, bragging about their imported luxury treatment, completely unaware they were being scammed by street merchants laughing all the way to the bank. Roman men were terrified of going bald. Julius Caesar famously combed his hair forward to hide it. The dung dealers capitalized on this fear. They claimed the heat in the dung would stimulate the scalp and force hair to grow. Desperate senators would attend meetings with their heads smelling faintly of the zoo, hoping the magical reptile paste would bring back their glory days of thick, youthful hair. One specific side effect of the dung was skin irritation. When washed off, the skin would be red and inflamed. Ironically, the Romans saw this as a success. They wanted rosy cheeks, which signified health. So, they were literally burning their faces with acidic feces to achieve a chemical burn that looked like a natural blush. It was beauty through self-destruction, a trend that sadly repeats throughout history. The obsession with all things Egyptian exploded after Cleopatra. Romans were fascinated by her beauty secrets. Rumors spread that the queens of the Nile used these exotic ingredients. Roman women wanted to capture that seductress energy. If the most powerful woman in history used the Nile's resources to charm Caesar and Mark Antony, then the Roman wives felt they had to do the same to keep their husbands. Husbands frequently complained about the cost of their wives' beauty routines. Satirical poets like Juvenal mocked women who went to bed with their faces covered in pastes, sticking to the pillows. He wrote that a husband never saw his wife's face, only the layers of drugs and dung she plastered over it. It created a weird dynamic where beauty was something you bought, not something you were born with. We now know that reptile feces carries salmonella and other deadly bacteria. By rubbing this into open sores, pimples, or near their eyes, Romans were risking severe infections, blindness, or even sepsis. It is likely that many women fell ill or developed worse skin conditions from the treatment, which then required more dung to cure, trapping them in a vicious cycle of sickness and expensive, disgusting quackery. Once the door was open to crocodile dung, nothing was off limits. Romans also used gazelle dung for eyes and bull dung for gout. But the crocodile remained the premium tier, the la mer creme of the ancient world. It showed that once a society accepts that natural means good, they can be convinced to do absolutely anything if it is packaged in a fancy enough jar. As the empire transitioned to Christianity, these vanity practices came under fire. The early church fathers preached against the excessive use of cosmetics, viewing them as deceptive and pagan. The idea of smearing oneself with animal waste for vanity went from being a status symbol to a sign of sinful pride. Cleanliness eventually shifted from looking white to actually being washed, and the dung trade slowly died out. You might laugh, but this hasn't entirely disappeared. Today, high-end spas in New York and London offer geisha facials using nightingale droppings. Costs hundreds of dollars. We also use snail slime and whale vomit in perfumes. We are not smarter than the Romans, we just have better marketing teams renaming the ingredients. The desire to find a miracle cure in nature's grossest corners is timeless. There is a psychological trick here. If something tastes or smells terrible, we believe it must be strong medicine. If it was pleasant, it would just be candy. The Romans believed that because the crocodile was a killer, its waste must be powerful. This no pain, no gain mentality ruled their gyms, their battlefields, and their vanity tables. They embraced the suffering as proof of the product's worth. We know these details because of the meticulous records Romans kept. They didn't hide this habit. They were proud of it. Medical texts detailed the recipes with precision. It serves as a reminder that history isn't just marble statues and speeches. It's also the weird, smelly, and human details of how people lived. It humanizes them, showing they were just as insecure about their looks as we are. This single beauty product explains the Roman economy. To get poop from the Nile to a bathroom in Rome required a massive network of ships, tax collectors, merchants, and slaves. The entire Mediterranean economy was interconnected by the demand for luxury goods. Even a jar of dung helped keep the wheels of commerce turning, funding the roads and armies that kept the empire strong and dominant. In fairness to the dung users, it might have been safer than the alternative. Many Romans used ceruse, a white lead paint, to whiten their skin. Lead slowly poisoned them, causing madness and death. In comparison, the crocodile dung was just gross and filled with bacteria, but it didn't cause heavy metal poisoning. It was a choice between two evils: smell like a swamp or die of lead. Historians often talk about the visual splendor of Rome, but they ignore the smell. Between the fish sauce, garum, the public urine vats for laundry, and the crocodile dung on women's faces, ancient Rome would have assaulted your nose. It was a city of intense, organic odors. To a Roman, these weren't bad smells. They were the smells of civilization, money, and a thriving, bustling empire. The crocodile dung facial is the perfect metaphor for Rome. On the surface, it was about projecting an image of white, pristine perfection. But underneath that image was something raw, dirty, and extracted from the wild. They built a golden veneer over a reality that was often harsh and brutal. They were willing to do anything to maintain the illusion of power and beauty, no matter the cost. So, the next time you complain about the price of your moisturizer, just be glad it doesn't contain the intestinal waste of a Nile crocodile. If you want to uncover more disgusting secrets of the ancient world, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching and see you next time.